Hello, everyone, and welcome to the NIAID Applicant Assistance Program informational webinar. This webinar is organized by the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases Small Business Program Office and Foresight Science and Technology. Our goal today is to introduce the NIAID Applicant Assistance Program, provide information about the program goals, structure, scope of services, and the eligibility requirements to participate. Our presenters today are Dr. Hajal English, Small Business Development Specialist at NIAID, and Dr. Konstantin Izbalski, Director of Consulting and Training at Foresight Science and Technology. Now, before we get started, I'd like to point out that your microphones will be muted throughout the duration of this presentation, so if you have any questions at all, please type them into the questions box provided in the GoToWebinar platform, and we will answer them during the Q&A session at the end. Okay, I will now turn it over to you, Dr. English.
Thank you for the introduction, Alyssa. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining today's webinar and for your interest in the NIAID Applicant Assistance Program. My name is Hajal English. I'm a Small Business Development Specialist with the NIAID Small Business Program team. And for the first part of today's webinar, I will be providing a brief overview of the NIAID Small Business Program, including some of NIAID's specific SBIR STTR policies. For fiscal year 2023, NIH has allocated approximately $1.347 billion of its budget for SBIR STTR program. And within this budget, that is about $1.18 billion is for SBIR programs, which represents about 3.2% of NIH total budget, and about $166 million for STTR program, which is about 0.45% of NIH total budget. Of all the NIH institutes and centers, National Institutes of Allergies and Infectious Diseases, NIAID, has the second largest SBIR STTR budget. That is approximately $195.2 million for the fiscal year 2023. For NIAID's mission, NIAID conducts and supports basic and applied research to better understand, treat, and ultimately prevent infectious, immunologic, and allergic diseases. NIAID does have a unique mandate that requires the Institute to respond to emerging public health threats, including the COVID-19 pandemic. And there are 3 scientific divisions in NIAID tasked with managing all the extramural research awards. These awards include SBIR STTR awards. These 3 divisions are the Division of AIDS, Division of Allergy, Immunology, and Transplantation, and Division of Microbiology and Infectious Diseases. Here in this slide, I included some of the NIAID-specific SBIR STTR policies. For the budget cap, if you fit within one of NIAID's waiver topics, NIAID does allow budget over the SBA hard cap for NIH SBIR STTR awards. So for the waiver budget, NIAID does allow for Phase 1 award up to $300,000 per year for up to 2 years, and for Phase 2 awards up to $1 million per year for up to 3 years. The waiver topics are generally interpreted broadly by NIAID program officers, and they are confirmed at the time of the award, and pre-approval is not necessary before you submit your application. And just be aware, by requesting the waiver budget, it will not impact funding decisions. However, the budget amount requested should be scientifically justified, and it may be reduced during the peer review process if it is considered needed. NIAID does allow Phase 2 applications via the SBIR Parent and Select Notices of Funding Opportunities. And for NIAID Phase 2B applications, matching funds are encouraged, but it is not required for your Phase 2B application. And for Phase 2B, it's SBIR only. If you have a Phase 2 STTR award, you would have to make the application type switch to SBIR in order to submit a Phase 2B application. For applications that involves clinical trial studies, NIAID only accepts SBIR clinical trial applications through its U44 mechanism, and you can see this at PAR 21082. Eligible application types include Phase 2, Phase 2B, Fast Track, and Direct to Phase 2. We highly recommend that before you submit your U44 application, please reach out to the point of contacts from each division listed in this funding opportunity to get their feedback and understand division's expectations and explore and confirm their interest before you submit your application. Additionally, NIAID does also participate in the Commercialization Readiness Pilot Program via the recently newly reissued PAR 23219, and NIAID only participate in SBIR clinical trials not allowed funding opportunity. And for CRP opportunity, it does support some of the activities that traditional phase 2, phase 2B awards are not intended for, which includes FDA documents preparation, IND enabling studies, manufacturing costs, and other late-stage R&D efforts. Also, the limitation of subcontracting percentage is more flexible as compared to traditional phase 2, phase 2B award. For funding decisions, NIAID funds applications primarily based on scientific merit, which is your priority score. All applications except for CRP and U44 within published paylines are funded. Based on our past feedback from participants in the Applicant Assistance Program, besides the proposal development assistance provided through AAP, there is also need for technical and business assistance that are not covered by AAP. So to satisfy these unmet needs, applicants may request additional TABA funding for technical and business assistance within your application. And you can review more details on this opportunity at NOTOD 21062. So for the TABA funding for phase 2 awards, you can request up to $6,500 per year. And for phase 2 award, you can request up to $50,000 for the life of the project. And these amounts are in addition to the total amount of your award. For TABA services, the qualifying services could include, but not limited to, assistance with product sales, intellectual property protection, market research and or validation, development of regulatory plans, development of manufacturing plans, and access to technical and business literature available through online databases. You can request TABA funding within your application in Section F under other direct costs lines 8 to 10. And the small business concern budget and label it as the funding as technical assistance. You should always include a detailed description of the technical or business assistance that your vendor will provide, including the name of the vendor, the expected benefits and results of the technical or business assistance provided in the budget justification section. So for this slide, you can see several links that might help you to learn more about the NIAID SBIR STTR program. So our overall website is in the first link. It has some general information for SBIR STTR program at NIAID. And in the second link, you can see the NIAID high priority areas of interest. NIAID would primarily consider applications that align strongly with NIAID's mission and priorities. You can use the information in this link to understand if your project is a fit for NIAID's mission. And for all NIAID's current small business funding opportunities, you can review them in the third link. Last but not least, in the fourth link, you can see samples of SBIR STTR successful applications. This is one of our most requested resources, and applicants have been using these as a reference to prepare their own applications. So to sum up the program introduction part, the most important piece of advice I would like to offer is to call or send an email, reach out to your NIAID program officer for feedback on your application before your submission. You can find the program officer's contact information on the HHS agency contact webpage. Or you can, if you have any general program or policy questions, please reach out to our program lead, Dr. Natalia Krichning, or our general inquiry email here. Regardless of if you're reaching out to a program officer or to our office directly, please include a non-confidential abstract of your technology and your planned specific aims. This will help us to determine if your project is a fit for NIAID's mission. And if it is so, it will also help us to find an appropriate program officer for your project feedback. Last but not least, please do plan to submit early, if possible by days, just in case there are last-minute issues that would require additional time so that you will meet your intended grant submission deadline. The next is about overview of the NIAID Applicant Assistance Program eligibility criteria. So first, your research area of interest must align with mission of NIAID. As I have mentioned, you can review NIAID priority, high priority areas of interest page that will help you determine if your project aligns with mission of NIAID. And your company must intend to submit a phase 1, phase 2, 2B, fast track or direct phase 2 SBIR, STTR applications. We do recommend that you complete your full required registration, but it is not a requirement to participate in AAP. We also want to emphasize that the SBIR STTR contract applications are not eligible to participate in this program. So the current upcoming cycle 2 of AAP is intended for company plans to submit an application for the January 5th, 2024 SBIR STTR grant submission deadline. And for phase 2 applicants who wish to participate, you must be within the first receipt dates following the expiration of your phase 1 budget period. And of course, your company must be eligible to apply for NIH SBIR CTR grants based on the NIH small business eligibility criteria. So you can see the NIAID AAP application online form link under the first bullet points. And this online application form will be open on September 18, 2023 at 12 p.m. Eastern Time. We would recommend to submit your application as soon as the portal is open, as the program is first come, first served for all the eligible applicants. And for the first time, we are also, besides this current informational webinar, we're hosting an office hour after the application form link is open. And that office hour will be next week on September 21st, 2023 from 2 to 3 Eastern Time. During the office hour, program staff from our office and representatives from the supporting contractor for AAP Foresight Science and Technology will both be available to answer any questions you might have regarding AAP, including eligibility criteria, application process, available online resources provided through the program, and what to expect and how to work effectively with AAP consultants. And the registration link is here if you would be interested to participate. And for all future NIAID program announcements, including the AAP application form links and details and future dates for future cycles, please subscribe to our NIAID Small Business Listserv. And we do also have other applicant support and assistance program in the pipeline that may be launched soon. And you can learn more about these programs all through the notices that we send out via the listserv. So in case that your application is not a fit for NIAID's mission, you may also consider to participate in the NIH Applicant Assistance Program. Just to be clear that this program has some key differences with the NIAID AAP, that this program is for phase 1 applicants only, and you must have not received any NIH SBIR STTR awards previously. So the NIH AAP, it's participated jointly by 10 other NIH ICs, and it provides 10 weeks of coaching and customized assistance at no cost to participants. Selected small business, you can receive need assessment, small business mentoring, assistance with required registrations, phase 1 application preparation support, and application review. And this most recent cycle has just closed for application, I believe yesterday. And you can also visit their website for future cycles information if you're interested in participating. And as I have mentioned again, this is for phase 1 applicants only, whereas for NIAID, we do open up for most of the SBIR CTR application types. I think that's all for the program introduction part. Thank you for your attention, and I will be staying here. If you have any questions, please feel free to type them in the chat, and I'll be happy to address them at the end of the presentation. So currently I will have our point of contact from Foresight Science and Technology, who is a contractor supporting AAP. Dr. Konstantin Izervosky, he is going to take over and talk more about the upcoming cycle 2 of NIAID AAP. And I will let Konstantin take over. Thank you.
Thank you very much. My name is Dr. Konstantin Izvolsky. I'm Director of Consulting in Foresight Science and Technology. and my goal today is to introduce you to program, introduce you to Foresight, my company which will be implementing this program, and provide you with kind of general ideas about how this program will be implemented, what you can expect, what is the scope of work, and limitations of our service. So again, a little bit following up on information which has been shared by Hijau a little bit earlier. The program, NIAID Applicant Assistance Program, has been established by NIAID Small Business Office, and this program provides SBIR STTR applicants with no cost training and advising services, with the goal of increasing success of the SBIR and STTR applications. As Hijau also mentioned, this program is intended for eligible NIAID Phase 1, Phase 2 to be fast track, and direct to Phase 2 applicants. So pretty much anyone who is interested in NIAID SBIR funding is eligible to apply. The emphasis of this program is also on engaging and assisting various groups which are underrepresented in biomedical small business programs. So this is another interesting aspect of this program. So Foresight Science and Technology has been selected by NIAID as a applicant assistance program service provider. A little bit information about our company. We are a small business consulting company. We're headquartered in Massachusetts, and we are proud to call ourselves a world-leading full-service provider of technology transfer, commercialization, due diligence, and intellectual property management services. Our clients include very broad spectrum of entities, including government agencies, individual companies, federal labs, foundations, research universities, and investor groups. Our team consists of about 60 senior consultants with expertise across all industries. So we not limit ourselves by particular, area. We open to serve pretty much anyone who is interested in commercializing the technologies and work across very broad spectrum of technologies and fields. So what services Foresight Science and Technology can offer to SBIR, STTR applicants and awardees? First of all, grant proposal review and fine-tuning. Yeah, so our consultants are experienced in SBIR, now SBIR grants and requirements throughout, so they can really help our clients to put together compelling proposals. Business plan review and fine-tuning. This is literally our bread and butter. Commercialization is a focus of our services. Everything is kind of spins around commercialization. So this is also something we can be very helpful with. We help our clients developing commercialization strategies. We help our clients to identify funding sources. We work a lot with identification of potential partners, whether these are strategic partners or potential licensees. So a lot of requests are coming from our clients asking for help in this particular area. We can help our clients to obtain letters of support. We do a lot of outreach to potential customers, end users, opinion leaders, trying to test the value propositions of technologies we are reviewing and assessing. And pretty much anything which can be covered by this technical and business assistance TABA service requests, we really try to, align our services with your specific requests, with, with your needs and shortcomings. And I think this is one of our strengths. Our company is very well established in SBIR, STTR field, particularly in supporting NIH SBIR programs. We have over 15 years of providing commercialization support to NIH SBIR STTR awardees. We run for many years NIH-wide SBIR Phase 1 Commercialization Assistance Program, which was called Niche Assessment Program. We provided program support for the National Institute of Mental Health. We provided technology transfer support for the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. I think our team is very strong in life science and medical science, and our consultants have in-depth understanding of the needs of typical SBIR STTR awardee, needs related to preparation of technical and scientific parts of their proposals, and at the same time in drafting compelling commercialization plans, which are necessary to bring technologies to the market and to secure SBIR STTR funding. We believe that we know how to create compelling SBIR STTR Phase 2, direct to Phase 2, Phase 1, and fast track proposals, and how to successfully present them to reviewers. So now let's talk a little bit about Applicant Assistance Program structure. Yeah, so Applicant Assistance Program has 3 cycles, and each of the cycles follows specific application submission deadline. The first cycle ended on September 5th of this year, and right now we are starting cycle 2 with the deadline, expected deadline for application submissions on January 5th, 2024. Cycle 3 will start after that and will end by April 5th, 2024. The first 35 eligible applicants for each cycles will be enrolled in the program. So as Hijau mentioned, this is first come, first served, approach. So please submit your applications to this program early, because space is limited. We definitely have a wait list, but again, we encourage everyone participating in this webinar today to submit your application as early as possible. A little bit about cycle 2 workflow. Yeah, so Hijau mentioned that application form link was placed online on September 11. Basically 2 days ago. We plan to open sign up period on September 18. Hijau also mentions the office hour session, which will take place on September 21st, and during this 1 hour long session, we hopefully will be able to answer your specific questions, maybe clarify some issues, address uncertainties and concerns. So please remember, this is an important date, and if you have any questions and you want to discuss them kind of live, please join this office hour session. We plan to close application sign up period on October 6th. So when the sign up stage is over, this is when we start implementing the most important stage of this program, assistance. Yeah. So as soon as the eligibility of participant is confirmed, a participant will receive notification that they are part of cycle 2 of NIAID Applicant Assistance Program, and we will schedule an important call which is called a kickoff call, and this will be kind of the first interaction between program participant and Foresight senior consultant. And we will proceed with services, and I will talk about the services a little bit later, basically till December 31st. Yeah, so December 31st will be the official end date for our services. And again, we expect that all participants will have enough, support and enough information to submit the applications on January 5th, 2024. In addition to direct interactions between program participants and our consultants, each program participant will be provided with online training. So this training will be delivered in the form of pre-recorded online webinars, as well as pre-recorded toolkit, which are already posted on Foresight site. They will be shared with all participants. You will have access to this webinars and to this toolkit. And I want to emphasize that this is a very, very important part of our services. Okay, so you can access it at any time. The webinars are very comprehensive, very detailed. You will be able to address and answer a lot of questions by watching this webinars. And I think in many ways, a lot of questions may be already answered simply by watching these videos. But obviously, if you have additional questions, additional concerns, you are welcome to share them with our senior consultants, who will provide you with additional support. After our services are finished, the next stage of the program is surveying and reporting. Yeah, so each participant will receive a survey from Foresight, basically asking about how things went, whether there were any problems, any concerns, things to improve. And again, if you are part of this program, I strongly encourage you to respond to these questions, provide as much details as possible, because at the end, your feedback, your responses help us to modify program, to improve it, to address things which can be addressed in different way, to address better. So this is always a great opportunity for us to hear what you feel and think, and move forward with more knowledge about your needs and potential concerns. So again, talking about the structure of our services, two components. Yeah, one is one-on-one proposal preparation assistance, which will be initiated with this kickoff call I mentioned. It will be provided by Foresight Science and Technology individually to each particular, each participant, and it will consist of virtual consulting sessions, and pretty much every component of your phase 1, phase 2, fast track or direct to phase 2 grant application is on the table. You can ask questions about any component of this grant package, and our consultants will be able to discuss them with you, address shortcomings, problems, concerns, and help you to structure your application and reach the level when it looks compelling and hopefully will be strong enough to go over the funding threshold. And in addition, again, online training resources. Yeah, something which you can access at your own schedule, and it's a very important component. And you can look at it as individual component as well as a supplement to your one-on-one interactions with Foresight Senior Consultant. So each of our consultants is an expert in SBIR with strong background in life science technologies. We have a very good team, and this is already the third year of this applicant assistance program. We have a very strong core team, very experienced people who know SBIR pretty much inside out. Kickoff call, which was also mentioned earlier, this is the initial, interaction between Foresight senior consultant and program participant, and this is necessary, informational exchange, which will allow us to understand what resources you have, what needs you may have, whether you have any obvious deficiencies. Please do not worry about exchanging information which may be proprietary. We have already umbrella NDA with NIAID. We will be happy to execute individual NDAs if necessary. This is, again, consider our consultant as your friend and advisor and editor and supporter for the period of the next 3 months. So based on this interaction during the kickoff call, our consultants will develop customized assistance plan. Yeah, so it will take maybe a little bit of time, maybe 1 or 2 additional calls, but at the end, we will understand where you are in your grant preparation process, what your problems are, what your concerns may be, and we will develop customized assistance plan which will be specifically targeting your needs, and we will implement this customized assistance plan till the very end of December. So I think the most important thing for implementation of this customized assistance plan is to create, timely, set of interactions. They may be weekly, they may be bi-weekly, depending on what you feel and what your needs are and where you are in the process of grant, package assembly. And the most important thing is to stick to this plan. Okay, so I think as Hijau mentioned, the earlier we start, the more opportunities to support and consult you we will have. Okay, so we don't want to leave everything to the last 3 weeks before submission. There will be holidays, there will be crunch time. So the earlier we start, the more meticulous and accurate we are in in following this customized assistance plan, the better result we are going to get. There is no way around it. Yeah, so simply our history and analysis of participation in this program indicates that the best results are achieved when we stick to this timely interactions, and participant doesn't disappear for months and a half without any trace. There is a very important thing I want to emphasize. There were a lot of questions about it, and probably there will be more questions about it. But simply put, the scope of work of this program specifically states that our consultants can help you with proposal editing, with proposal reviewing, with advising, how to make your application better, but we are not going to write parts of the proposal for you. So we are not providing grant writing services, okay? And we are not going to look for new information. We can suggest where you can search for additional information. We can, guide you to particular sources of information, but we are not going to write parts of this application for you. This is a very, very important thing. Feedback is usually provided via interactive reviews. Our consultants provide corrections, provide provide notes for application improvement, and again, the more accurate you and your consultants are in, sticking to this customized assistance plan schedule, the better result we will going to have at the end. So online training resources, this is a second component of our services. As I mentioned already, these resources include pre-recorded webinars, and these webinars cover pretty much every aspect of SBIR STTR proposal preparation. We start with SBIR STTR program overview for those who are not very familiar with this program. We provide some, discuss foundation, before you begin, how to plan your project and proposal, both phase 1 and phase 2. We talk about budgets. We talk in details about phase 1 application. We dissect more, more complex phase 2 applications. We talk about phase 2 research plan. We talk how to create a compelling commercialization plan. We spend a lot of time discussing various supplemental documents. We also provide program participants with information about, review process and scoring, how to manage your award after it is received. We talk about resubmission process and how to address, critiques received on unsuccessful application attempts. We talk about common weaknesses of applications and pitfalls in application, preparation and submission process. We talk about various resources provided by NIAID. We talk about assist tutorial. So each of these topics is covered by individual webinar. Each of these webinars is delivered by very knowledgeable Foresight senior consultants. You will have access to them. You can use this information on your own schedule, which makes it even more, I think, valuable. So please do not forget about this opportunity and use it at your convenience. Online training resources. This is pretty much, like a hand-holding tool, which literally will tell you how to fill various forms and documents which constitute the phase 1 and phase 2 SBIR STTR grant application. We will talk about registrations. We will talk about all required sections of successful SBIR STTR submission. We will talk about, again, budget templates, literally like line by line, how to fill these forms. We will talk about sub-award documents. So again, this is very, detailed description of formal steps you need to take to, to put together successful application. There is not a secret. Yes, there are a lot of forms and boxes and things you need to keep in mind. So hopefully this online toolkit will provide you with necessary information. So again, going back a little bit to what Hejao said in her presentation. So before you decide to apply for applicant assistance program, we strongly encourage you to first to ensure that the research area of NIAID is, that your research is within the area of research interest of NIAID. I think you will need to have very careful discussions internally about the feasibility of fast track and direct to phase 2 application submissions, particularly if you do not have strong history of successful SBIR STTR grant submissions. You need to understand that both fast track and direct to phase 2 are difficult mountains to climb, and for companies with limited SBIR STTR experience, I think phase 1 application seems to be the most logical decision. We encourage you to initiate as a minimum, company registration process, and please, review your background data, your research, particularly if you're not currently in phase 1, and particularly if you think about applying to fast track or direct to phase 2. So this is also very important. And again, success of this program depends on multiple factors. I think very critical is a good rapport with your foresight senior consultant. It is critically important to stick to customized assistance plan and schedule of your interactions, whether phone calls or Zoom meetings or things like this. Be proactive. If you have questions, don't leave them for the very last moment. Contact your consultant, contact foresight, contact NIAID SBIR office. So this is also very important. And last but not least, I think it is important to commit to the deadline. Okay, so we don't have enforcing mechanism, but I think it will be very important for you that if you're part of this program, commit to the deadline. January 5th, this is when we want you to put together your application and submit it. And we hope to provide you with all necessary support to do so. And if you have any questions regarding program, at any moment you can contact me. This is my contact information. I will be part of this office hour on September 21st. If you have any questions to me, I will be very happy to answer them. So this is it. This is it for me for today. Thank you very much for your attention. If you have any questions, we'll be very happy to answer.
All right, great. Thank you, Konstantin, and also Hijau. Next, we're going to move into a couple of questions and answers. Konstantin, if you want to keep your contact information up, we can do that too, just so that people have time to put that down in case they have any other questions after this. So at this point, we had a couple of questions that came in during the webinar. I'll read those off now, and you both can answer them as you can. First question is on TABA funding. Is the $50,000 for phase 2 included on top of the $1 million per year, or included within that budget limit?
It's on top of that $1 million per year cap.
Great, thank you for clarifying. And a lot of the different centers and organizations are different, so it's good for you to know that that is on top of your award amount. So great resource, make sure you're using it. Okay, next question is, how complicated is the AAP application? And I went ahead and answered this. It's not intended to be complicated. It's asking for some general contact information, demographic information, a few questions about your company status and registration status. And then the most difficult part of it is going to be including or attaching a narrative about your project. That is what Hijau and Natalia will be using with their team to determine that you are part of the NIAID's objectives. And so that is the most difficult piece of the AAP application, but it's necessary to make sure that it's that you're eligible to participate in the program. Do you have any other comments about that, Konstantin, Hijau? Have you had any comments about the difficulty of applying for AAP?
This is Konstantin. I think the process is straightforward. Okay, so you will need to provide us with information which will allow us to understand whether your research is within the scope of NIAID scientific interests. Yeah, if you already have phase 1 NIAID SBIR grant, then then this question is automatically answered. Yeah, you will probably share more during the this interactions with our senior consultant, but the form itself, application form itself, is very straightforward and simple.
Yeah, this is Hijau. I agree with Konstantin and Alyssa. Just want to mention one thing about the non-confidential project abstract that you will be uploading with your application. It should be just a very brief 1 to 2 page with a brief description of your project that mostly help us to determine if it's a fit with NIAID's mission. In the past, people have uploaded their slide deck and manuscript. Those are not, in general, not very helpful. We would rather if you could just come up with a very brief, non-confidential abstract. That would be very helpful.
Wonderful. Okay, and you can continue to type your questions into the question box as we go through this. We have a few more minutes left on this webinar. Okay, a couple more questions. We did receive lots of questions about whether you will receive this, a copy of this slide deck. Yes, you will. Following the completion of this webinar, we will send out not only a PDF of the presentation slides, but also a read-only version of the application form for AAP. So you'll be able to see what you'll need to prepare for the application submission, which will open in a couple days. So you will receive both of those by email. Anybody who is registered for this webinar will be receiving that email following completion of this webinar. So you can look forward to receiving that. Okay, moving on to the next question. How would one decide whether SBIR or STTR is more appropriate?
It's just a kind of formal requirement. Yeah, that if you're applying for STTR, you will need to have a research institution as your major partner during this whatever 1 year or 2 years, depending on was it phase 1 or phase 2. So we put some formal requirement on STTR. You don't have this you don't have this issue when you apply for SBIR. So you need to be very certain that research institution you select as part of your STTR application will go with you and be with you through thick and thin. Yeah, so it's an important point.
Right, and just to build off of what Konstantin said, there is formal requirements for SBIR versus STTR for the percentages of participation of the research organization that you may be working with. So when you do get your consultant from Foresight assigned to you, they can provide you with those requirements for percentages, and that's a straightforward way for you to figure out whether you'll need to apply for STTR rather than SBIR if you do have a formal relationship with a research institution. And once you look at your budget, it'll be pretty straightforward which one you'll need to apply for based off of percentages of workloads and man hours. So that's something that the consultant can help you to decide as well. Okay, next question. How are underrepresented groups chosen to receive the AAP services? Earlier, Dr. English said the services were provided on a first-come, first-served basis. So I think that they may be talking about the criteria of underrepresented groups to join the AAP.
Yes, we do. Within the announcement, we repeatedly added language to encourage underrepresented groups to apply for the program. However, we are not allowed to give prefaces to underrepresented applicants just based on the status. So the selection will still be within all eligible applicants will be first come, first served. But we do encourage that you to submit your application as soon as the portal opens. That would usually help you to be be more of in the front part of the application list. Just because we're really not allowed to give the preference just based on the status of a specific small business concern.
Great, thank you for clarifying. Okay, another question for clarification. You mentioned that they should contact the SBIR program officers. Their question is, are you recommending we contact the SBIR program officers before we apply to AAP?
No, that's more of a, it's not required that you contact the program officer before AAP. It's more of a general advice for submitting your SBIR STTR application. Although it will certainly help for you to work more efficiently with the AAP consultant, if you receive feedback about your proposed specific aims from our program officers, then the AAP consultant will work more efficiently based on that feedback. And you can also choose to, in the past, we have participants that had the kickoff call with the AAP consultants first, and then you can together discuss the status of the project and determine what areas you would need the program officer's feedback. That could be another way that you can use the program officer's advice very efficiently.
Okay, great. Thank you for clarifying. And the other thing too to keep in mind is not before you apply to AAP, but right after you submit your application, you can speak with Constantine and Hijau and Natalia on the office hours next week. So something to keep in mind, that you can talk to them before you actually have your kickoff call to begin the AAP program. You will be speaking with them if you choose to join those office hours, or if you're still deciding whether you want to apply to the AAP. The application will still be open next week, so you can speak with them during that office hour. So we encourage you to participate, ask your questions there, and have an open discussion with them. So great time to do that. Okay, another question here, a little more specific. They want to know about eligibility, social scientist, board certified health coach studying asthma. Does the applicant need to involve clinical trial?
I'm not sure I understand the question. Could you please repeat it?
Sure. I think that the main thing here that they're asking is, does the applicant need to involve a clinical trial?
No, you can, based on the specific situation of your project, if you're applying for a clinical trial application, that would be through the U44 mechanism, which allows phase 2B fast track or direct to phase 2 applications. You can participate in AAP as well. Those are qualified as eligible application types for AAP. But if your study does not involve clinical trials, you could simply apply for the omnibus solicitation for the SBIR STTR funding opportunities. It's really, it will be based on your specific situation. And NIH does also have its own standards for what's qualified as clinical trial. And I think based on that, and then that would help you to determine if the studies you're proposing would actually need to go through the U44 mechanism, or it will just be from the omnibus solicitation.
Jill, this is Natalia. I would like to add a little bit to echo what Jill just mentioned. We, NIAID SBIR program, we are not participating in clinical trial parent announcement omnibus. Only U44 announcement is available for small business whose project is related to clinical trials. But keep in mind that U44, it's not a pay line mechanism. It's based on programmatic interest of the division and priority score. And therefore, if you consider to apply to U44, if your project related to clinical trials, we always recommend to have a conversation with point of contact within division. Feel free to reach to me, to Hajel, and we will connect you, because some divisions will ask white paper, maybe 4 or 5 pages, and they want to have a discussion maybe 8 weeks before submission to U44.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you both for clarifying. Very helpful. Okay, a couple more somewhat specific questions about SBIR versus STTR. So someone wants to know that if they have a phase 1 STTR, can they apply for a phase 2 SBIR?
Jill, I guess you will, yes, it's allowed.
Yes. Yeah, as it's allowed, as long as you would meet the requirement of the SBIR, you can make that application type switch. You would minimally for SBIR, small business can only outsource 33% of your phase 1 award effort and up to 50% of your phase 2 award effort. And also for SBIR, the primary employment of your principal investigator, the PI, must be over 50% must be with the small business. There are, if you fit these requirements, you may make that switch.
Great. Thank you for clarifying. And so another general question here, phase 1 versus fast track. This should be decided before submitting your SBIR or STTR application, but can it change after you meet with your foresight consultant? And I went ahead and answered this. The answer is yes. It can change after you meet with your consultant. This happens many times. People think they want to do a fast track, but maybe do not have enough information to develop the application for a fast track. So they change and decide that they're going to stick with phase 1. So this can absolutely be discussed with your consultant and or with the program officers at NIAID. And we can help you to determine which application may be best for your situation and your experience level with SBIR. So that can change. Will it affect your selection for the program if you put fast track down? It seems that you may be discouraging this for first-time SBIR applicants. And the answer is no, it will not affect the selection for the program. We do not have a requirement, the NIAID program does not have a requirement of the certain numbers of phase 1, phase 2, or fast track or direct to phase 2 participants. That is only a requirement for phase 1 participants to participate in the NIH general program, not this program. It will not make a determination of whether you're eligible to participate. Hijau, agree with that statement there?
Yes, it's all the application types are treated equally as long as you're within NIAID's mission. So yeah, whether to choose a fast track or phase 1 wouldn't make a difference when we're reviewing your application. And yeah, I agree with what Alyssa has mentioned. With the program officer, they're more experienced with the field and they manage the SBIR STTR portfolio awards, and they would have more expertise to provide feedback regarding which application type might be more appropriate for your specific project.
I would even add that again, you will apply as soon as you are first come first served. There will be no preferences whether you are phase 1, phase 2, fast track, or direct to phase 2. Okay, but during, and even more so after you're already in program and after you already discussed your needs and concerns and application with senior consultant, you're absolutely free to change the format. You can enter the program as whatever, direct to phase 2, and you can change in the when you're already in the program to fast track or phase 1. So it's absolutely possible.
Okay, one final question here. The participant asked, how did the SBIR STTR deadline of January 5th differ from the PHS 2024 NIH deadline of November 14th? I'm going to go ahead and guess that may be the deadline for contracts versus the omnibus solicitation. Is that correct, Hijau?
Natalia, this is correct. Yes, this is correct.
Yeah, okay, it's correct.
Okay, so the AAP program is for the omnibus solicitation. Those are grants, and that's the January 5th deadline that we're working with here. Any other deadline that you may see on the NIH website may be for a specific contract, which is different than for this grant. So that is not eligible for participation in this program. Is that correct?
Yes, yeah, contracts are not eligible to participate in this program.
I just want to add to applicants who are considering applying to SBIR contracts at NIAID, please keep in mind, because of government regulations and policies, we cannot talk about contracts. We cannot answer if you will send email to me or to Virgil. We cannot provide the information. The only person of point of contact for SBIR contracts is the gentleman, Jonathan Bryan. His name is in solicitation under NIAID. He's a contracting officer. All questions should go to him, just for your information.
Great. Thank you for adding that information too. Okay, I think that wraps up the time here. Thank you everyone for joining us today. Reminder that next week this application will open up, and we hope that you will join us for the 1 hour informational or discussion next week, open office hour with the group here. You will be receiving a copy of these slides and also a read-only version of the AAP application, so you can prepare your answers to that. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to anyone that spoke at this webinar today. We'll be happy to answer your questions. And thank you, Dr. English. Thank you, Dr. Oswalski, for the presentations today. We look forward to working with you all soon.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.